Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanTrucks.com. Today we're taking a closer look at and installing the Rough Country 2-inch front leveling kit available for the 07-18 Silverado 1500. You should be checking out a leveling kit like this one here if you're looking to fit larger wheels and tires on your truck up to 33 inches, if you're looking to add some additional ground clearance at the front end, and if you're looking to reduce some of that factory rake. Now, fitting larger wheels and tires on your Silverado can be quite difficult, especially on a stock suspension. You'll need at least a leveling kit, a small one like this, to fit larger wheels and tires on your truck without rubbing. Now, with a leveling kit like this one, you can fit up to 33-inch tires on there without having to do any permanent modifications to it. Now, keep in mind, guys, that 2 inches is one of the smallest leveling kits that you can put on the front end, so some of the more aggressive 33-inch tires may rub slightly at full lock in the inner wheel well, something just worth mentioning. Now, our truck came with factory 31s, so we'll be showing you guys what the fitment looks like with the factory wheels and with aftermarket 33s. Now, if you're looking to also reduce some of that factory rake, a leveling kit like this one here will do the trick. Now, from the factory, you have rake, which is basically referring to the front suspension sitting lower than the rear in order to help with towing and hauling applications. Now, 2 inches of front end lift isn't enough to completely eliminate factory rake, but bringing that front end up 2 inches will level it out just a little bit there. Now, in addition to that, you're also getting some added ground clearance. Now, again, 2 inches being a smaller leveling kit, it's not going to help you go over some of the larger obstacles, but 2 inches of additional space at the front may help you go over some of the smaller on and off-road obstacles that you may not have otherwise been able to go over. Now, this particular kit is a little bit different than some of the other top spacers. This is an injection molded plastic here that'll sit at the bottom of your factory strut. The physical spacer where the bolts will go through is just about 1 inch of material, but in combination with the added suspension geometry changes along with compression changes, you will see a final result of a 2-inch front lift. Something worth noting here, guys, with the material being injection molded plastic as opposed to a billet aluminum or a steel, plastic can't rust or corrode, so this one is going to be a little bit more durable in terms of longevity. This is great for guys located in wintry weather areas, especially who see a lot of road salt in the wintry months like we do here on the East Coast. Plastic can't corrode, which we know salt can be the culprit of. Now, this kit's going to come in right around 75 bucks, making it one of the more affordable options, and the install is going to get 2 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter, just a little bit more involved than a simple cold air intake or something like that, but no permanent modifications are required, no drilling or anything like that. It'll take you about 2, maybe 3 hours from start to finish. What do you say we get started? Tools used in the install include a cordless impact, air impact, 10, 15, 17, and 21 millimeter deep sockets, 15 and 17 millimeter wrench, a hammer and a pry bar recommended, and an 18 millimeter ratcheting wrench is recommended. All right, let's kick off the uninstall here. The first thing we want to do is remove the brake line brackets and the ABS line brackets so that when everything's loose and at full slack or full droop, it's not putting pressure on these lines. There's a 10 millimeter right here and a 10 millimeter right there. So grab your 10 socket and get those 2 off. Now, what I like to do, just so we don't lose the bolt, is just thread it on a couple of threads right back in the hole while the bracket's loose. That way we know where it is. Same thing back here. Take that bracket off. I'm just gonna lightly thread it back in, just like that. All right, next up, we're gonna loosen up the top nut for our sway bar end link. In order to do that, however, just because there's not a whole lot of room to work with, I'm gonna put a 15 millimeter wrench on the nut on top and use my 15 deep socket on the bolt going through the bottom, and that'll loosen it up. All right, just like that. Now, you don't have to take the entire end link straight down, just wanna grab that nut off the top, and if you can, take the bushing off as well, and just set those aside. All right, next up, we're gonna loosen up and remove our tie rod end. Grab your 21 millimeter deep socket and get that guy off. All right, now something to keep in mind here is that if you take this off, then this whole thing's gonna start moving. What I'm actually gonna do now that it's loose is just put the tie rod end back in and just put this in a couple of threads. We're gonna want this to be pretty stable for the rest of the uninstall, at least up until the point of the upper control arm coming off, so let's just keep that there for now. Right, next, we're gonna be loosening up and removing the nut on the bottom of our upper control arm where the ball joint connects to the hub here. Now, in order to do that, you're gonna grab an 18 millimeter ratcheting wrench. That's at least what I recommend because there's not a lot of room here. And this is where we want the stability of the tie rod end because we don't want this thing moving back and forth. So let's crack this guy loose. All right, now once this is loose, what we're gonna do is take the nut completely off and then thread it back in a couple of threads, just so it holds the knuckle in while we break it loose. All right, so it's on a couple of threads there. Now we can grab a hammer and start tapping on the side to dislodge the ball joint. There it is. So now that we have everything loose, let's take our tie rod end completely off. I'm just gonna put this nut back on so we don't lose it. Now we can swivel this guy out. We're gonna push down and remove the nut here. Okay, once this nut is off, I'm gonna set that guy aside. This upper control arm is gonna pop out, so you just wanna be there to support it. Okay, just like that. Make sure the lines are out of the way. And now that's free. Now we wanna remove the two bottom strut bolts. They're 17 millimeters. Keep in mind, once these two guys come out, the entire lower control arm is gonna drop down, so just watch your head. Next up here, I have a pole jack under our lower control arm, just because we're gonna slide in this spacer just like that. You wanna make sure the thick end is underneath the strut bottom. Now, if you're on the ground, you can use a floor jack as well. This is just easier because we're up in the air. We're basically pushing the lower control arm up to get this guy to line up a little bit. And then from there, we'll be able to put our bolts through. Now keep in mind, guys, if you have those factory threaded nut clips on your truck, you wanna pop those guys off like we did here. They just come right off. You're gonna slide that bolt through the top, line up those holes, and then push it through the lower control arm. Just like that, the stud comes through the bottom, put a spacer or a washer and a nut. All right, now you don't wanna tighten that down just yet. Line up the other side, put the bolt through. You may need to use a hammer to tap it through and then tighten them down. Like that went through pretty easy. Okay, now we can grab our socketed wrench and tighten those two down. All right, so I'm gonna use my 17 wrench, 17 socket and tighten it down from the bottom. All right, now we can reassemble the rest of the components. And next we can do our upper control arm ball joint, putting it into our knuckle. Just lift your knuckle up into position. Make sure the brake lines are on top, not tangled up underneath. You wanna lift your upper control arm up. If you need to, use a pry bar to help lift. Drop that stud into the knuckle, then use a pry bar to pull it down. Once you have that down, take your nut, thread it onto the bottom. Let's connect our tie rod end before we tighten this down, and then we can finish up. All right, take your nut off your stud if you put it on just like I did. Pop this guy into the knuckle. You can manipulate this a little bit, get it to drop in. All right, grab your 21 socket, tighten this down, and then tighten down your upper control arm nut. All right, grab your 18 ratcheting wrench and tighten this guy down. If you need to, you can pry down on the upper control arm to help put some pressure on the ball joint to keep it from spinning. All right, now our sway bar end link fell out, so I'm just gonna slide this guy back in, making sure the sleeve is in the middle. Put it up through the sway bar. What you wanna do is put your bushing on top, just like that, and follow it up with the nut. All right, from there we can tighten it down. All right, grab your 15 socket and wrench and tighten them down. Grab your 10 socket. The last thing we're gonna do here is tighten down our brake line brackets back into position, right on top of the knuckle here and on top of the upper control arm. All right, last but not least, make sure you're checking up on your torque specs, torque down all your bolts, get in alignment, and you're good to go. That's gonna wrap up my review and install for the Rough Country 2-inch front leveling kit available for the 07 to 18 Silverado 1500. You can get yours right here at AmericanTrucks.com.